multiplying and dividing positive and negative fractions. Just like numbers, when we try to multiply and divide them, it would also apply to fractions. So just to give you an overview of the rules, positive times positive is still positive, just like what you see now on the screen. The second one is negative times negative is positive. So there are two fractions in here, both are negative, but the result will still be positive. Just like in any number, multiplying or dividing any numbers with the same sign would still be positive. And if in case the two numbers has different signs, the result would always be negative. So just like this one, negative times positive is negative. And same as positive times negative, still negative. So what you see in the screen is just multiplication, but the rule that we need to follow is still applicable in division. Let us try some examples. Example number 1. Multiply negative 1/8 times 5/4. So, before anything else, always remember that when we multiply fractions, that would simply be numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. In our case here, in our first fraction, the numerator is negative 1 and the other numerator is 5. So we simply multiply negative 1 with 5. And in the denominator, we have 8 and 4, so 8 times 4. So, negative 1 times 5 is negative 5, and 8 times 4 is 32. So this is now our final answer. Don't forget, negative times positive, a negative fraction times a positive fraction is a negative. That's why our final answer is negative. Let's proceed to our example number 2. So we have here negative 3/5 times negative 1/2. So we will be doing the same thing. Take note, numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. So if we multiply the numerators, that would be 3. Specifically, it's positive because they have the same sign, negative and negative. Or you can also think of the given, the two fractions are both negative. So that is why our final answer is expected to be positive. So 5 times 2 now in the denominator is 10. This is now our final answer. Okay, let's have another example. This time, we are asked to divide negative 5/6 divided by 1/3. So, if the operation is division, always remember that it is just the same as multiplying the reciprocal of our second number. So for this one, we copy negative 5/6 and we change division to multiplication and we get the reciprocal of 1/3. Then we say reciprocal, we are just interchanging the numerator and denominator. So instead of 1/3, that will become 3/1 or simply 3. So just to insert or just to review about reciprocal, for example, 3/2, the reciprocal of that one is 2/3. Negative 2/5, the reciprocal would still be negative. Don't forget the negative has nothing to do with the reciprocal, so you just have to copy it, but you need to interchange the 2 and 5, so that will turn out to be 5/2. Going back, we have here 3/1. Okay, now you can simply follow the usual way, like for example, negative 5 times 3, you'll get a negative 15/6, and then simplify afterwards. In my end here, since the number is still small, I would like to use this opportunity to simplify as early as now. As we all know, 6 has a factor of 3 and 2. If you notice, this is the rule in simplifying fraction. If there is a common factor in the numerator and denominator, we crush it out or we cancel it out. So both of the numerator and denominator has 3. That means you cancel out the 3. And whatever is left, that's what you need to multiply. Does it mean that the 3 is cancelled out here, then there's nothing left? There's still 1 on it all the time. So you have negative 5 times 1 is just negative 5. Again, you might be wondering why it turns out to be negative. Dividing a negative and a positive number will give you a negative number in the end. Okay, so now, divide by, you only have 2 left. 2 times 1, 2. So the answer is negative 5/2. Just to be sure that you really understood it, take note that the 6 here is cancelled out because we can write it as 3 times 2. And then we cash out or cancel out the 3 because we also see a factor 3 on the numerator. Again, cancellation will only happen if the operation is multiplication. Let's proceed to example number 4. We have here negative 3/10 divided by negative 7/9. Still, its division. That means negative 3/10 divided by negative 7/9 is just the same as negative 3/10 times negative, then reciprocal of 7/9 is 9/7. Now, looking at the example, the factor of 9, when you try to factor it out, it's just 3 times 3. And 10 is 5 times 2. And all of them are already prime numbers, meaning that's the best that we can do when we try to factor them out. And you see that there are no any common numbers in the numerator and denominator. That means you just have to multiply the numerator with the numerator, denominator times denominator. So negative 3 times negative 9 all over 10 times 7. Negative 3 times negative 9 is positive 27. Then 10 times 7 is 70. We can also write our final answer in mixed number if you want to. If in case your number is improper. But since our fraction is proper fraction, that means that this is the best or the best way that we can write our final answer. Meaning it's already in simplest form. And that will be our final answer. Let's have example 5. Negative 14 divided by negative 14 over 9 divided by 4 thirds. So same, negative 14 over 9, that would still be the same as times the reciprocal of 4 thirds, 3 fourths. Okay. Looking at it, you can write 9 as 3 times 3. And by the way, I forgot to consider it, but 4 can be written as 2 times 2. So we crush out 4 so that we can rewrite it as 2 times 2. Same with the 14, we can rewrite it as 7 times 2. So we cancel out the common factors of the numerator and denominator. And take note, the operation is multiplication, so we are allowed to do that. There's a 3 here in the numerator, 1, 3 also in the denominator. And 1, 2 in the numerator, 1, 2 in the denominator. So we will consider what is left now. In the numerator, we have negative 7 and nothing else. Over, we have 3 and we have 2. 3 times 2 is 6. If you notice, this is an improper fraction because the numerator is greater than the denominator. Do not mind the negative when you compare the 7 and the 6. 7 is greater than a 6. That means we can still write this in mixed number if you are instructed. There's 1 6 in 7, or you can think of it as following the long division, if you remember. 7 divided by 6 is 1, then 1 times 6 is 6, and then we subtract 1. That means that the mixed number, there's a negative here because originally there's a negative. 1 here, coming from this part, and then we have remainder 1, and the divisor 6. So the final answer is negative 1, 6. Or you can also consider negative 7, 6. Why is it negative? Because this is negative, this is positive. Negative divided by positive is negative. Different signs, negative signs all the time.